Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. So did you ever think you'd go from a football helmet, a professional football helmet, to a hard hat?
There was a point in my youth where I knew it was going to be an opportunity because I did grow up in a blue collar family.
Okay.
You know, I'm from Western PA. It's a pretty blue collar area. My grandfather and my dad, both of them grew up working construction for the company was called Trumbull for a while, and he always had his green hard hat. I remember rocking it as a kid, thinking I looked cool.
Of course, absolutely.
And I was doing the same thing with my football helmet, so there was probably a little bit of crossover there. But I never really thought as a young man that getting into working with my hands or doing anything in the trades was going to be the first thing I dove into when my football career ended.
And growing up in Western Pennsylvania, what team did you want to play for?
Oh, obviously the Dallas Cowboys. No, it
was good, because we hate Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was a Steelers fan through and through, still am. And it was pretty awesome to be able to grow up in Pittsburgh, playing football in high school, go to the University of Pittsburgh,
absolutely, and
then after a little bit of bouncing around there, end up with the Steelers. I like to say it's a Yinzer's dream. Every kid that puts on a helmet in Pittsburgh, you know, that's what they're dreaming of.
Completely, so it's black and gold. Yep. It's what it's all about. And here in Dallas, of course, it's blue and silver. See, I thought I'd be a football player. I never grew big enough to be a football player. But I played quarterback. I was number 12. My name's Roger.
Yeah.
And I'm in Dallas.
Yeah, you had the roadmap was there.
Except for the height thing. You know, the height just never quite got there, but it would have been great. So let's talk about trades. Carpentry.
Yeah.
And not just carpentry, amazing carpentry. You do cool stuff.
I try.
No, you're doing a really good job. What made you think, look, I want to be a carpenter? Because most people in Pittsburgh are in the mines or job sites. There's a lot of construction going on. I got to go to Pittsburgh, got to go to USS Steel, to the building down on Grant or Maine or something like that. Yep. Amazing.
Yeah.
Downtown Pittsburgh is just the coolest freaking place.
Yeah, a lot of history there.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But, you know, I would think a kid growing up in Pittsburgh, there's a lot of steel work, so a lot of steel mills, all kinds of fun stuff, and you become a carpenter.
Yeah.
What made you want to become a carpenter?
To be honest, like literally nothing. Like I don't think anything in my life specifically pointed at woodworking and carpentry. And it's quite interesting. You bring up the mills, and like I have my dad and my grandfather. They tell stories about, you know, the city being musty and dusty and gross and disgusting from the mills when they were younger. The mills have kind of like fizzled out now, and there's not really much going on in the actual steel mill industry in the city of Pittsburgh besides business.
And there's a lot of it.
And there's a lot of business.
Yes.
Now you're starting to get into tertiary and external aspects, and you know, there's coal mines, there's fracking mines, there's steel mines, there's all kinds of stuff going on as far as like mine work is. And then not to mention a lot of immigrant population from the 40s and 50s and 60s, which had massive language barriers and resulted in a lot of labor. And so when you get a, you know, diverse population, you get a lot of labor and trades that gets built up. And then there was, you know, the industry around Pittsburgh as being a hub with all the rivers and stuff. So all of the trades around Pittsburgh are all doing really well.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you've got some fantastic trade institutes. I know I've met a lot of people who travel from out of state to come and learn specific trades in or around the city of Pittsburgh.
Right.
And so for me, it was just kind of like a thing you always knew was around, right? You knew that you could always get into construction. You knew that you could always get into working with your hands or getting dirty or whatever it might be. And I always kind of knew there was an opportunity there. But as a young man, I chased the dream of playing football. I wanted to go to college, get a business degree, and I did all that, and then wound up still working with my hands
it's not a problem,
still building stuff. And it's not a problem. And what's funny is the negative connotation associated at a young age.
Oh, yeah.
It it wasn't the future you wanted, right?
Yeah. If you don't go to college, if you don't do good in your life, well, maybe you can always get a job in the trade.
Exactly. And
it's nuts.
It's insane because I know way more millionaire plumbers than I know millionaire businessmen.
I try to tell people that every day.
And it blows my mind.
It's really funny that there's a neat town just northeast of, well, I guess northwest of where we're at right now. And I was speaking at a real estate event one night, and these realtors kept coming up and asking me questions. And one came up and said, I had no idea plumbers make as much money as they do. And I'm like, okay, we do well.
Yeah.
I said, but what makes you think that? I said, you get overcharged for something? I said, oh, no. Whatever y'all charge, I'm good with it. Said, the biggest house in our neighborhood is built on 2 lots. They bought 2 lots.
Yeah.
They spent the money. They got it combined. They built this big, huge house up on the hill. It's beautiful. And they own a plumbing company.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. She said, no, Roger, this house is the biggest house you can imagine.
Yeah.
And they built it in a city on 2 blocks.
Yeah.
And we had no idea. We thought, the Rockefellers live there or something.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And it's a local plumber.
Yeah.
Plumbers can do really, really well.
Really well.
But any tradesman can.
Exactly.
Carpenters can make great money if they get really good at their trade, at their craft.
Correct.
And you do a lot of specialty stuff.
Correct.
What made you want to lean that direction?
So I kind of defaulted when I started building things to what I knew. And what I knew was nothing. But
don't we all when we start
exactly.
out?
And I knew that I wanted to learn. And so the first thing I applied any knowledge with tools to was a piece of furniture. I built a coffee table. I was actually playing for the Steelers. We came home from an away trip. My roommate broke our coffee table, and I wanted I wanted something specific that was like a size that I ended up building from a plan I found online, kind of thing.
I love that.
But I grew up helping my dad and my grandfather, and so I knew my way around basic carpentry tools, and they were always building something, an addition on a house or remodeling something. I got an immigrant Italian grandfather who would never pay a penny to have anyone work on anything in his life.
I love that.
So
I love it.
he was always building something, and my dad's very similar. Addition on the back of our house as a kid growing up, all the way to helping him build sheds and decks, and he was always picking up side work, building or working with his hands and whatnot. And I was always helping him out for what I now know is very, very cheap.
You bet.
But you're a big kid, and you can pick things up and put them down. You're gonna be able to help out those individuals in your life who are asking, especially when I was at a young age. So I didn't have many skills, but I was comfortable enough to pick up a chop saw and more or less screw some 2x4s together and make a piece of furniture. So I initially started leaning
the way you
towards
say that, just screw some 2x4s together to make your first coffee table.
Yeah.
I really doubt it was just screwing a few 2x4s together.
And Roger, I wish I was kidding, but I literally did exactly that. Pocket holes and 2x4s. And I plan off of, she still does phenomenal. Her name's Anna White. She's got a bunch of basic builds using that kind of stuff. Okay. And that's sort of what kickstarted my, I guess we can now call it obsession with woodworking and furniture, which is where I've gone deep down the rabbit hole into over the last decade or so. But yeah, it came out of like not knowing enough to like do anything, I guess, with more utility. So I made something for myself, and then kind of was like, ooh, I want a workbench, made that. And like my buddy needed something, I made that. And then when I got cut from the NFL, I had a lot of free time. So I started drinking a lot of beer and making a lot of stuff for my buddy who needed stuff in a house he just bought. And it kind of just kept going from there.
That's a neat way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a neat way to get into something, because it's not really that you're getting into it. You're not looking for a job. You're not looking for a career. You're just like, hey man, I'm just going to do some stuff I enjoy.
Yeah. And
then more and more people come to you and say, hey, well, look, I need something too.
Yeah. That's if you're putting it out there.
Well, but I mean, even if you're building it for friends, it's getting put out there.
Exactly.
Because they're going to take a picture. Somebody's going to come over and say, oh, John did this.
Yeah.
So Speaking of John, tell everybody who you are and what you do, man.
So my name's John Malecki. I'm a YouTuber, but I'm a woodworker by self-made trade.
Uh-huh.
I've built and sold custom furniture for the last decade. I specialize in live edge slabs and industrial style, everything from river tables to conference tables, desks, you know it. But I've dabbled in a lot of different aspects of carpentry, interior, I guess you could say interior millwork and built-in cabinets, kitchens, that kind of stuff. And more or less what I focus on now is primarily large-scale tables with slabs, and I do a little bit of welding. I've dabbled in that world too, but making content around making cool shit, kind of like what my thing is.
I love that. But you started off. How hard is it to tell people you're a YouTuber?
It's way more difficult than you'd think, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, what's weird is I think it's, for me, it's like, what generation am I talking to, right?
Even
in certain generations, like my father-in-law,
that's not even a real job.
It's not a job, right?
It's like, because to quit playing around.
Yeah.
Do something one day.
But then, like, he sees the other parts of it, and he's over the years garnered a lot of respect for being a YouTuber.
Uh-huh.
But then, like, a young kid, you're like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. They're like, wow.
Oh yeah, you walk on water.
Yeah.
It's so funny because when I go speak at high schools, first of all, the schools are like, well, you're a plumber. Our kids, they're not gonna. There's nothing exciting you can tell them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm a YouTuber. And they're like, wait, what?
What? You can
and it's
YouTube
like
and plumbing?
95% of the kids in our school want to be YouTubers.
Yeah.
I say, yeah. But first they've got to understand a skill.
Correct.
They've got to be, you don't just make YouTube, say, look, I'm making a YouTube channel.
Correct.
You've got to be good at something.
Yeah.
I say that there's some people that aren't real good at it. And there's some people that fake at it. And there's all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, when you do stuff right. So before we go further, tell me about your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Where can people find it? How big are you now? I mean, I know you're huge. When you walk down the street, the sun disappears. How big is your YouTube channel right now?
So the main YouTube channel is about right under 1.2 million subscribers. We do 4 to 5 million views a month. We post twice a month, building some cool stuff. And then we actually launched a second channel. We focus on I guess you could call it having fun with tools. And that one's creeping up on 200,000 subscribers. That'll be a year old in February of 25.
And 200,000.
And it's right under 200,000 subs, right? So we're doing about 2 million views a month there. And that's actually why I'm down here in Dallas. I'm speaking on how I launched that channel at Vid Summit. So all in all, those two channels are like the main drivers of the business. And then we've got probably another 1.5 million followers across, Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and whatnot.
Okay. So your first channel, John Malecki.
Yeah.
Easy to find.
Yeah.
The second channel is?
John Malecki Unscrewed.
Unscrewed.
Yes.
Okay. And that's most of your life story.
Correct. The older I get, the more unscrewed
the more unscrewed you realize you are. Yeah. My parents used to have a friend they called Loose Screw.
Okay.
They're like, man, he's got loose screws.
Sure, he was a good time.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
He was a lot of fun. This video is sponsored by High Level. For your 30-day free trial, go to gohighlevel.com/Roger Wakefield. So when you got out of high school, you knew you were going to college. You had played high school football.
Correct.
And you do well in college. And you get drafted in the NFL.
Undrafted, but yeah, I get picked up.
Okay, you get picked up.
Yep.
And how many years were you in the NFL?
4-ish. Okay. So
you reached the pension plan. You did good.
Oh, I did, but I didn't. So the NFL is a little bit more dynamic than what people think on like just the surface, right? So there's a practice squad and then there's an active roster, right? And so I don't know what the numbers are now, but when I was playing, it was 53 guys on the active roster with 7 guys on practice squad. They basically keep some people in reserve that know the playbook and everything going on. They just don't dress on Sundays.
Right.
So I was on practice squad my first full season, and then I have 2 accredited seasons, and then my 4th season was me trying to get on with the team kind of thing. So
to hit that.
Correct. So I have a pension because they have a pension. It's not a full pension, but they have a partial pension available to 2 years of accredited seasons.
Cool.
Which is fine, but
you don't need that now.
I wasn't going to, I hope, but I wasn't going to bank on that ever, because a lot of people know the phrase that NFL stands for not for long.
You bet.
And I went in and knew that mindset. I was, I was a backup interior offensive lineman. I played center and guard. I mean, as you so eloquently said, I can block out the sun.
You bet.
Reality is I'm not that big for that position.
Yeah, standing on NFL lines, you're really not.
No, and at 6'3", 300 pounds, you're pretty small. And then I played defense for 2 years in college and then guard for 2 years in college. And I lettered and I was all conference and all that fun stuff. But I had to go to the NFL and play center because I was just too little.
You bet.
And missing in some of the other measurables, and my arms aren't the longest, the hands aren't the blah, blah, blah. whatever. So I was
it takes a million things to be the right guy.
Correct. And what's crazy is I'm the exact same size as Jason Kelsey, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Now, so sometimes it takes the right place to get on with and the right coach. And if you listen to him talk, he says it all the time, coach bought into him, believed in him, and allowed him to grow into the player he became, which is amazing to see. And that's usually what happens with undersized guys. Someone takes a shot on them and they end up,
you bet,
becoming great from a lack of what would generally be the framework of what an offensive lineman is. Anyway, all that being said, I made sure I got my degree in the 4 years that I was at Pitt. I got a business degree. And I knew that with the networking opportunities and then having my education taken care of, I'd be able to at least get started in something after school. And after the NFL kind of fizzled out for me, I actually, just for your listeners to know, I played for 5 teams and I got cut 13 times. So I was up and down off rosters, traveling all over the country, ping-ponging around, chasing that dream for almost those 4 years, like I said. So there wasn't really any grounded aspect after my college career to my life, right? I was just like up in the clouds, not knowing where the hell I was going to go.
And when you're doing that, you can't carry all your woodworking tools around with you and things like that. So when you get home, there's, I guess you can study how to be a YouTuber or something like that. Not that anybody would want to do that.
Yeah. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy. But, let's talk about the carpentry. What was it once you started building it? Once you started, after that first coffee table, you built out just slapping some 2x4s together. What made you think, wow, you know what? This is really fun.
Yeah.
I love this. What made you want to be good at it? A lot of people think something's fun.
Yeah.
But they're never like, look, I want to get really, really good at this.
Yeah.
What makes it trip in your mind to say, look, this is something I could do and really do well?
And so I have personality wise, I'm a little bit bullish in regards to blindly believing that no matter what I'm doing, I can be good at it. Cause I think that anybody can learn a skill.
You're a high D and you're a promoter. I see it.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way.
Yeah.
There's nothing I look at and I think, damn, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I can.
All my peers,
hold my beer and watch it.
Family are like, yeah, you whole ass everything, right? You're all in on everything you do.
Absolutely.
And so, when I got into woodworking and carpentry, I was, I had the itch that all of us had from Joanna and Chip Gaines on TV.
We can just build anything,
flipping houses and stuff. And I was really intrigued by that. And so, I grew up, like I said, in a blue collar family, had a little bit of skills in regards to holding tools at least. So I was like, I can at least give this a shot. So my initial inclination was to learn the basic skill set to be able to renovate homes. And I found that I could learn a lot of things around the wooden aspects of that go into a house by building furniture without needing a house to work on, because I didn't have that at the time. And so I kind of made that first table and got that gratification of someone sitting at it and enjoying it, and then me enjoying it, and then manipulating a material and creating something that didn't exist in the world before I touched it. I just thoroughly enjoyed that. And I've always loved cooking, and there's a segue there, because you make a meal, you eat it, it's amazing. Same thing, you make a piece of furniture, you get to enjoy it. So I always liked that part, and I only knew what I knew from my athletic career. And I was always a high effort guy. I knew the playbook in and out. I was first guy in, last guy to leave, very much into all the things that I could control. And when I got into building things, I knew that I could control the amount of effort I was putting towards learning it, getting better, right? And putting in reps. And so that's kind of how I approached it, because that's literally all I knew.
How you grew up
previously,
absolutely.
Right? I had no skills prior to when I started those skills. So, long hours, a lot of YouTube, a lot of books, a lot of magazine articles, a lot of trial and error, started, buying tools and learning about those and shopping around. And I started to see that no matter what you do in life, you can apply, however much effort you kind of apply to it is the result you're going to get out of it. And so that's where I ran into the dichotomy that yourself and all of us run into in the trades, is the skills in which you're applying the trade itself, and then the skills of growing the business itself. And initially I focused on just kind of building cool stuff and trying to get people to buy it off of me.
But you went to college and got a degree in business.
Yes.
So you understand business better than most of us.
Absolutely not.
But you should.
I should
You got
have.
a degree.
I should have.
I didn't go to college. I don't know anything about business.
And you'd think they were teaching business in college, but they're basically just checking boxes to get you through
exactly.
school. Yeah.
And man, I hate that, but
Yeah.
you know, I tell people all the time, look, don't go to college, pick up a trade. I don't care what it is, pick up a trade.
Yep.
At least, you know, these kids, I have kids reach out to me all the time and say, look, my parents tell me I have to go to college to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah. No.
And I'm thinking, wait, that's so ironic.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not go get a job in the trades?
Yeah.
Be a plumber, an electrician, an HVAC tech. I always pick the skilled trades. You got to have a license. Eventually, it's easier to make more money.
Correct.
But you can get a job as a plumber, and at least, I mean, I got my little brother a job as a plumber.
Yeah.
He hated it. He said, I'm going to college.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a degree.
Yeah.
I'm going to work hard.
Yeah.
And he makes an amazing living. He's a freaking senior VP of IT for some company.
Yeah.
And he loves what he does. But I got him a job being a plumber. He's like, I hate shovels.
Yeah.
You keep me dirty every day. You keep me in a ditch every day. It's like, well, there may be a reason behind that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he went to college, got a degree in marketing and microbiology. Doesn't do either one of those. Go figure. But when kids come to me, or even when plumbers come to me, they're like, look, I want to open my own business, but I don't know anything about business.
Yeah.
When you really started opening your business, did you look back at what you had learned, or did you just look at, man, this is a whole new world?
I tried to look back at what I learned. And so there was like some hard skills that you learn in business school, like basic finance and bookkeeping and like how to write an email properly. Right. And
More than we know.
Some of that stuff. But like marketing when I graduated in 2010 is nothing like it is today. Right.
Oh, it's not TVs and yellow pages and phone books and
billboards and
yeah.
And no, but there was, like I said, some hard skills in regards to like interviewing people and having quality conversations and quality relationship building. And you did get some stuff there where you learned how to like look someone in the eye and shake their hand. Right.
Absolutely.
But as far as like running a business, like here's where you start, here's what you do next, here's what you do after that. Like not really. Right. And for me, I very much am the kind of person that wants to fail forward. And I'm learning this much more as I get further along in my business career. Is like, I'd rather try something, fail, and continue to reiterate it and grow and move instead of sit there and plan and do nothing. So I take action, I fail forward. So I never wrote a business plan. I never like sat down and said, this is what I want to do. This is my 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan.
People will tell you if you don't write a business plan, you're going to fail.
Oh, 100% of the time.
That's all. I've heard that a million times.
Yeah.
So I hadn't written one yet, but I'm thinking about
it. Yeah. I'm still writing my first one. So
there you go.
You know, you're not, unless you're taking on investors and unless you're like looking to get into some like immediate infrastructure or franchise kind of model, like you're right. You really don't need it. And so for me, I just kind of leaned into what I knew. And then what I knew was my customers are on Instagram. My customers are on Facebook, right? So I just started building stuff and putting it on Instagram, putting it on Facebook, and then started selling.
You bet.
Right. And so, you don't really need to go insane on learning business from your, like, I would even say your first $0 to $100,000. You just need to sell. You just need to learn how to sell stuff to people, right? Whether it's a service or a product. And that's what I did. I just started building whatever anybody asked. Now, that's not the greatest business model, right? But
you can learn some new stuff.
You can then you can, that's exactly like you said, getting into a plumbing trade or getting into any trade first, you learn either what you want to do or what you don't want to do.
Absolutely.
And that's what that is when you run a business. You're either going to learn what you want to be doing or what you don't want to be doing. And so that's kind of how I got started. I was just like, anyone that needed something made out of wood, they would call me because they saw I was making things out of wood. Decks, pergolas, shelves, tables, and I didn't know how to do any of it. So I was just learning on their dime, which is something that I am an advocate for, especially in the woodworking trades. But
figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. Invest in yourself, right? Learn the knowledge. If someone's paying you to learn the knowledge, you definitely need to be learning the knowledge, right? And then put your best foot forward and give them the best product or service possible. But yeah, I mean, I was just using the things that I knew, which was the internet, and I was trying to make the best stuff I possibly could.
So when you started your business, and I love that, because, you know, as a plumber, a lot of times people will tell you, look, if somebody tries to get you to come do a job and it's something you've never done, don't do it. And I'm like, well, there's sometimes it may be something worth figuring out. That, this may be your opportunity to learn and grow. Give them a discounted price. Say, hey, look, I've never done this before, but here's my thoughts. And look at it that way. The question is, how did your business grow in the beginning? Was it, just on Instagram, Facebook, and all that? And was that growing fast enough for you?
So I always, when I tell the story, it's like the first 5 years for me, felt like I was at warp speed. And that's because I immediately started marketing online, immediately started marketing on Instagram, Facebook, and then eventually on YouTube. So I was learning all the soft skills associated with business, with making content, and with trying to figure out how to build stuff. And it was just a lot of knowledge that I had to acquire quickly. And I like to say, whatever grows is where you shine a light, whether it's roses or weeds. And so, if I'm focused on growing my skills as a woodworker, that's what's going to grow. That's what I'm going to get better at.
You bet.
And my videos are going to suck, and my customer acquisition channels are going to suck, right? When you divert it, those tend to be what grows. And so it's hard. And I think, in my opinion, anyone I've ever talked to about the business of being in the trades, that is the most difficult thing for most of them is, do they develop the highly, I guess, specified expert skill set first, or the business first, or both at the same time? Because you only have so much time and you only have so much energy. And it's really, really difficult to become a master plumber while growing a scalable, functioning business, right? While you're doing hiring and managing and
I get it.
And to go into it. And I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of that over the years. And it's just as difficult to become an expert woodworker and scale a furniture company, as far as like the business side goes. And so, I tend to lean into kind of exactly what you were saying. You need to take on the jobs that are going to pay the bills to get your skills as highly valuable as you possibly can, as fast as you can.
You bet.
And then focus on growing a business. Because what happens to a lot of people in some trades, the non-skilled trades, I would say, is that they love being an artist. They love the artistry of whatever, they're making, metalwork, woodwork, welding, carpentry, those kind of specifically. And they really don't like the business side of things.
Oh, I know.
And they want to make cool, beautiful shit, and they want people to buy it. Well, people just don't buy things, right? You got to sell them.
You bet.
And you either got to find someone who's going to do that for you, right? Or you're going to suffer, and you're not going to be able to do that thing that you love. And it's tough. It's really hard. So for me, I focused on becoming good enough at woodworking and then diversifying myself with the products that were being offered in Pittsburgh, where I live, at the time. So I was working with reclaimed material a lot, which was a popular thing 10, 11 years ago.
That's back when I became a lead AP. So I get it.
Yeah. And then,
you bet.
Incorporating like basic metalworking, right? Like some metal legs, a little bit of an industrial look, which was also popular at the time. There wasn't really anyone in the woodworking world doing those things when I was doing them. So I found a differentiation point, and then I was leaning and leveraging content, which most traditional woodworkers and tradespeople in general tend to not lean into for getting their name out there. And so because of that, I was able to kind of grow into my first couple $100,000 in revenue, not knowing at all how to be profitable, not knowing all how to scale or source or do anything with it.
Right.
But money was coming in. So I was like, all right, this is at least a good start.
We're making money.
Right.
You bet. So, and Michael Gerber talks about this, and I don't know if you've ever read the E-Myth book, but he talks about, you can be the technician, you can be the manager, you can be the entrepreneur. And if you're all three of them, you're wearing way too many hats because you're trying to do everything in a book. And I remember sitting in a conference one day. I'd actually wore a suit over there. I owned a plumbing company and wore a suit, and I'm sitting on the front row. And I'm sitting there, and during one of the guys' talks, I looked down at myself in my suit, and I thought, today I'm being an entrepreneur.
Correct.
I'm actually focusing on stepping out and growing my business.
Working on the business. Yeah.
And I'm not working in the business. I'm working on the business. And it's a completely different feeling.
Completely different.
It's hard to do that. And he calls it the entrepreneurial seizure. We all think, wow, I've made this company over here millions of dollars. I'm going to step out, open my own company, and I'm going to make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen that way because we don't know how to run the business.
Correct.
But I love that because you can't do everything. You've got to find out how bring in more people, hand some stuff off, hire the right people.
Yep.
What was your first hire?
So my first hire was shop help because I had enough orders to facilitate paying someone to help me. I wanted to start to focus on the marketing side of the business a little bit more. I knew people were coming to me for my design eye and my like unique take on a lot of things. And if I could teach someone else to offset the actual building of the stuff, then, you know, you become 2 times
Absolutely
as capable of putting product out the door, as long as you're, you know, bringing in customers. And so my first hire was I think it was just like generic shop help, right? Like a guy here, come maybe do a little bit of welding or do a little bit of subcontractor work, some sanding, help with some finishing and stuff. And then I brought on a dude more or less full-time who was a little bit older than me, which was like my first reality check in regards to hiring, right? He could build good stuff. I was like, he's going to be a great fit. Turned out wasn't the case. But you know, you learn a lot. And so first 3 hires of mine were all looking for help in the workshop. And that's when I thought that I wanted to own a multi-million-dollar furniture manufacturing company.
Not headed that direction anymore, are you?
No. And it's for a multitude of reasons.
Okay. This video is sponsored by High Level. We've partnered up with High Level because we believe this is the best all-in-one sales and marketing platform to help you grow your business. For your 30-day free trial, go to gohighlevel.com/Roger Wakefield. First of all, explain the glasses you're wearing.
So, well, these glasses,
I love this.
Yeah, thank you. These are the first product I've ever designed and brought to market for my audience, your audience, all of us.
You bet. Tradespeople.
Just, you know, a comfortable set of safety eyewear that are ANSI Z87 Plus certified that we can rock and look good, feel good, wear them all day without having, you know, the ears hurt and your nose hurt, with lenses that, you know, have anti-fog and anti-scratch that aren't going to get beat up, that are made well for those of us that work with our hands and need to keep our eyes protected.
Now, I put these on a while ago and they fit, and I've worn a million pair of safety glasses. They feel like you're not wearing glasses.
Correct. Yeah. And I thought, hey, so many of us are required to either wear them or want to wear them for our own safety. Why not make them comfortable? Like they every other aspect of eyewear, they try to make them as comfortable as possible.
You bet.
Then you look at safety glasses and they're literally like thin pieces of plastic that cut into your face.
Oh yeah.
And those are what's certified. So
I've worn them.
Yeah. And we've all worn them. Like, I'm pretty sure 3 people in your office when I walked in were all rocking them, you know, just to make sure that they were staying safe out there.
Absolutely. and you know, you made the comment about your ears.
Yeah.
You go home, especially after getting a new pair of glasses, you go home that first day, and I mean, the whole top of your ear, it hurts.
Red, it's cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm just solving a problem that I found for myself, right? And it was more along the lines of, I found myself taking my glasses off and then not wearing them when I needed to.
Propping them up on your head.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, as a YouTuber, and as you know, like, I want as much ridiculous stuff as I do on my channel. I am a proprietor of safety, right?
Amen.
I'm willing to do things to myself that I really hope other people don't do to themselves. But I want to make sure that I'm covering the basics at all times. And years ago, when I didn't have my safety glasses on, I was getting destroyed in the comments. You know, you're a role model for anyone that's getting into this, and there's young people watching this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And they're mean enough in the first place. I was like, if I need to eliminate that. So I started hunting for eyewear that was more comfortable, that I didn't find myself being like, oh, I got to take these off. They're fogged up or they're scratched and damaged. Where are they? So we launched Shop Shades last November. It'll be 1 year this year in November. So
shopshades.com?
Yep, shopshades.com, or you can go to johnmalecki.com and check them out. We've got dimmers, prescriptions, transitions, and there's one other eyewear word that's in there. But yeah, we can pretty much facilitate any aspect of the tradesperson who wants to wear them. Yes, that's what it is. Readers.
I was going to say, I used to wear readers.
Yeah.
Then I had a surgery done on
progressives, right? They're called progressives.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's the word came to me.
Cool. No, it works. But the comfort is what blew my mind.
Yeah.
I literally put them on. I'm just like, these are safety glasses.
Oh yeah. Top tier safety with all day comfort. Like, that's what we're going for.
That is fantastic.
So, and I think they look cool.
No, they do.
What do you think?
You know, I mean, y'all tell him. It's, but it does. Now you're in town to speak at Vid Summit.
Yes.
And you're talking about growing a YouTube channel. You've started a second channel.
Correct.
It's growing very well.
Yeah.
To hit 200,000 subs that fast is fantastic.
Yeah.
What made you decide to roll over into a second YouTube channel?
So let me take a step back and paint a little bit of a picture, and then I'll get there. When you get started making content, I am just as adamant, like I was saying before, about learning new skills and as I am with trying new things. And one thing I firmly believe when you're creating content is you have to be willing to try new things. Every day. So when I got started, I was using it as a tool to get new customers. I was using it as a tool to show people how my build process and stuff, right? And I was kind of just like floating around the ethos of woodworking YouTube, doing tutorial videos and then some big builds, maybe a tool review here and there. And when you're working with tools like we do, you're very drawn to them, right? We have a lot of opinions. There's a lot of red around here. I'm sure Milwaukee is something that you guys talk about in comparison to, Makita and DeWalt and other brands and whatnot. It's an important part of a tool buyer's cycle of life or their business. And so I tried some content over the course of the last, 6-7 years that was pertinent to tools. And it's always something I've been passionate about. I mean, we'll be hanging out for the next few days. I'm sure we'll talk about tools probably more than we will building things, or fixing, or fixing plumbing issues and whatnot. And it's a common ground between a lot of people. And it's something that a lot of us have opinions on. We enjoy it, whatever. So over the years of trying that content, I noticed that it was always kind of falling short, but the opinions on tools in my build videos always seem to be super strong. And so over the last 2 years, we were trying to look for some what we call lower lift content where I don't have to build like a 30-foot conference table that takes 2.5 months.
You bet.
I can do a piece of content in a shorter period of time that facilitates some new eyeballs. And, I'm here to entertain and inspire those to get into either building or in working with tools. Like that's both of my channels, the vein on both of them. So we discovered that, I found an interesting bucket topic on some other in some other verticals where people were buying return pallets from stores. And so I just started buying return pallets from big box stores.
You bet.
And they're filled with tools. And we were having a blast doing it. And the audience loved it. And there's a lot of people that just really enjoy seeing that content. And so what I'm talking about at Vid Summit is how I used that concept and then a few other different video content ideas focusing around tools to then set up launching a second channel that primarily focuses on tools. So it's called Unscrewed because it's everything but the builds. So we're not building anything on that channel. I'm just farting around with tools more or less.
That's fun though. I remember, I guess that we all get this bug of, I want to do wood stuff. I bought a router and a router table and turned it over and mounted it and,
there you go.
Smooth some edges, make it look really cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we all enjoy.
Yeah.
But whenever you first started building your business to be a $1 million furniture business, how were you trying to market it then? Strictly social media? Or did you use anything else? Did you use Google pay-per-click or stuff like that?
So I've always been an organic media person. And that's because I believe people sell to people, and that the cheapest and easiest thing you can do for your business is be you. You don't have to go and pay for, some glamorous third party to make you some ad copy or, some inserts in the newspaper or billboard ad or whatever it is. You can be yourself on camera. And if you genuinely are out there helping people and facilitating people and providing quality service and quality product, you'll learn your voice and cadence that you can sell yourself. And that's how I approach social. I didn't have any money to go and invest in pay-per-click ads. I didn't know how to take photos and properly in order to feel confident enough to run paid advertising at things. So I was just using the free platforms to get my name out there and build general awareness, but more build conversations around what was going on. A lot of my content in the early days was just behind the scenes. Like in Gary Vee, I've seen some of his books in your office. Like, he was always and still is a proprietor of documenting your process. Well, if you look at marketing nowadays, there's multi-billion-dollar companies that are using a founder-based marketing model that are just showing you what the founder's up to in order to give you a behind the scenes glimpse on what's happening with, I don't know, Tesla or SpaceX.
And it's a great way to connect with people.
And it's a phenomenal way to have people connect with people.
You bet.
Back in the day, it was all people connecting with brand, people connecting with product, or people connecting with like a mascot or something like that. And those things still work, but they're much more difficult to start. And then they're also more expensive to get started. So I went completely free down the free rabbit hole of Instagram, Facebook, and eventually YouTube.
And it's funny because I literally started my YouTube channel to help build my plumbing company.
Yeah.
My YouTube channel used to be Texas Green Plumbing.
Yeah.
It was the name of my company. And then we started realizing, wait, we've got a lot of plumbers watching us, not just homeowners. So let's kind of shift the channel a little bit, talk to the plumbers more, help make them better plumbers.
Yeah.
And we changed it to the Expert Plumber,
Yeah.
a contest I won through American Standard.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, this is great. And we started growing. And then later we started looking again. It's not just plumbers. It's carpenters. It's electricians. It's
Yeah.
HVAC techs. It's dentists. It's chiropractors. It's like, okay, this is nuts.
Yeah.
So then we just changed it. We looked at our analytics. Most popular search word for our channel is Roger Wakefield.
Yeah. Your name.
So it's like, you know what? Let's go with that. Now we added plumbing education to it later just to help us stay. You know, one thing that I love, we're headed to a YouTube conference.
Yes.
And I could literally walk in that conference and tell anybody in here, search the word plumbing.
Yeah.
And they search plumbing and I'm the first channel that comes up.
Yep.
And we have focused on that. It's
Correct.
like, look,
Yeah.
we want to get found for our niche.
Correct.
And so when I speak about teaching people YouTube or stuff like that, it's always, what would that be like for you if you could be found for this in your niche?
Correct.
And you're owning it. You're doing fantastic. What do you think has literally helped, and not just your YouTube, but your business and grow?
Yeah.
And, you know, Seth Godin talks about, if you're not trying to be the best, why not?
Yeah.
And I think me and you have that mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, look, whatever I do, I want to do it better than anybody else.
Correct.
Call it competition, call it just the way we're born, whatever it is. But what along the way made you go to this ultra high end? Look, I want to do this. I want to do the 30-foot conference table.
Yeah.
And I want to do it custom, and I want to do it unique.
Yeah.
What made you really want to go all in deep on just, I'm going to say, being far out there, being better than everybody else?
Yeah. I firmly believe that the cream rises to the top, right? And then I also played sports, right? And so when you look at the greatest competitors that ever played sports, right? Pick someone like let's go with I'm trying to find a sport I want to say Tom Brady, but
I thought you were going to go Ben Roethlisberger or something.
No, because Ben actually didn't exemplify what I'm about to dive into. Ben was insanely naturally talented, but he wasn't a Michael.
Try hard.
Well, yeah, he did try hard. I'm not knocking Ben at all. Ben did a great job.
Right.
But Ben wasn't as obsessive as a Brady or as a
Well,
Jordan.
that's what I mean. He didn't have to go out of his way to try hard. He was just really, really good.
So I wanted to say Steph Curry because I don't know how many basketball fans are listening, but if you're not familiar, Steph Curry, he's a shooting guard, I think, for the Golden State Warriors, right? He's won a bunch of stuff. He's a phenomenal. He's like the greatest shooter of all time at this point. And the dude shoots 1,000 free throws a day, right? Why? Well, because he never wants to lose that basic skill set that he's always going to need, right?
Okay.
And so from there, then you can start to elevate. Well, Steph Curry has moved the line on playing basketball from being something that happens under the hoop to being swinging outside. And I'm not a huge basketball guy, but they shoot the ball a lot more than they're driving into the middle and throwing layups up there now. And so shooters are now much more prevalent. And Steph did that to the game because his fundamentals never went anywhere, right? And then what do you do once you become so good at the basics? Well, then you start to elevate. And I believe in business, you have to take the same approach, right? You have to be so good at things that they become second nature to you that you can then differentiate yourself by being so good at something else that you can't be ignored. And so that's kind of how I approached woodworking, right? You got, basic live edge tables, right? They're not that hard to build. You just have to flatten a slab and put some legs on it. And if you do it the right way, you can repeatably execute on this.
Okay.
But once you build 30 of them, you become pretty good and pretty well versed at it.
Right.
And so if you want to become the best at it, you have to start improving upon that thing that you've become an expert at. And so are you adding a different aspect to your service? And this is where I go like deep. When I do any business coaching, I'm like, well, if you take just your product and that's all you ever care about with your business, you're missing out on so much more opportunity in the before and after, right? I was like, so what does your customer acquisition channels look like, right? Are you hopping on the phone call? Are you doing 3D modelings and renderings? Are you doing in-home walkthroughs, right? Are you sending printable pamphlets? Are you doing anything to make that customer feel like that they're part of the process in their life, right? Are you doing video check-ins and calls? And I teach all kinds of this stuff to my business students. On the back end, are you doing white glove delivery service? Are you doing warranty service? Are you showing up and following up to make sure that they were taken care of properly? Are you doing anything that could potentially put money in their pocket if they refer you to anybody? Oh, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Those things exist in general business coaching, as you know. We've all learned that.
You bet.
Well, we haven't all, but
most of us have. The ones who are exceeding very well normally have coaches.
Yeah, if you dive deep, you learn those kind of things, right? You can make just as much money from, facilitating a service after a sale to selling the thing itself, right? And I looked at it and was like, how can I be different when it comes to building literally anything that I want to build? And I was like, well, I'm going to use different materials. I'm going to present it differently, right? And then I'm going to make sure that the quality of anything that I put out there is unparalleled, at least to my capabilities.
You bet.
So that's kind of what took me from building like little coffee tables to pushing myself to do, 20-foot conference tables with inlaid epoxy, logos and branding and custom built bases and welded and fabricated from scratch and like just everything that we do now, right? No one else was doing it. And if they were doing it, I didn't know about them, which means I had an opportunity to be known doing it.
Absolutely.
And that's just how I approached it. I'm not afraid to be told no. I'm not afraid to lose. You go through 13 cuts chasing your childhood dreams and you still kind of get there and smell it a little bit. You don't get afraid of failure. And so I took my skill set that I had and just kept pushing it because I just don't think if you don't quit, you don't fail. And that's how I approached the custom side of my business.
I love that. No stands for next opportunity. That's all it is.
Yep.
And there's a lot of opportunities out there. Have you had a task come along that was too big that you're like, yeah, man, I can't do that? Has anybody tried to get you to do a job that you're just like, there's no way?
So twofold. Yes, is the answer to the question. But, that's because I'm a proponent of being more or less specialized, but like having your core product offering and sticking to it until you're at scale to where you can then go and you can have other people facilitating other aspects of your business. Right. And so I say no to a lot of projects solely because I don't have the infrastructure or the team or the tooling in order to do it efficiently for both of us to win, myself and the customer, right? I can build you a kitchen. I'm just not going to be very efficient at building that kitchen.
Right.
And then that's going to take away any I'm going to have a massive opportunity loss with the rest of my business.
The stuff you could do really good.
Exactly. My shop is shut down because I'm building a kitchen. Well, I can make 10 tables in the same time it would take me to build one kitchen. And those 10 tables are probably going to be worth, 7 times more than one kitchen.
Absolutely.
And we're more efficient. And then I can also use that to market my core product offering even more. So it goes back to kind of what we were saying at the beginning for me. I say no to things that I don't want to do in the future. So if you call me, and
a lot of people won't do that though.
Correct. If you call me and you're like, we need I'm said rich and famous person,
right?
And I need you or would like you to build me this custom, let's go with a custom built-in display for my home. And if I can't build that display in a style that I think is going to fit my brand, my business, and allow me to market my business in the future, I'm not going to do it. You could come in, whatever the number is, doesn't matter. Yep. Because the leverage that you lose on taking that opportunity is probably 5-fold compared to doing a project that you can market and use in your socials. You can use for customer testimonials. You can use in your photography and videography assets on your website or whatever, right? And I think that is a very, very difficult thing for tradespeople to accept and understand. Because you want to say, yes, it's money. You see the money coming in the door. You could potentially develop new skills and yada, yada. But when you get to a certain point, your best opportunity to make a lot of money fast is at being really, really good at one thing.
No, and I love that. I really do, because I remember hearing one time at a conference, this guy talking, and he says that he put a sign on his computer, says, "Is what I'm working on right now going to help me get to where I want to be?"
Yes. And you got to ask yourself that question every day.
You bet. And a lot of people don't. They're just, wait, an extra $10,000 just came in the door. We'll do it.
Yeah.
We don't care what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but that's taking you away from what you should be doing or could be doing. And I love the way you look at it. I could take on this project, but it's not just what I'm going to lose by doing this project. It's the people that are coming out I'm not going to be able to get to.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't look at that.
Correct.
They're like, wait, but we have this bird in the hand.
Correct.
Great. But there may be 7 birds in the bush that are just waiting to jump in your basket.
They're just laying there waiting for you.
Yeah. And what you got to do is pick them up.
Yeah.
This video is sponsored by High Level. For your 30-day free trial, go to gohighlevel.com/Roger Wakefield. What so far has been your favorite project to do, your favorite project to build?
I mean, I do love the large scale, like conference tables that we've done. You know, I did the conference table at Black Rifle Coffee's headquarters down in San Antonio. It was one of like the first bigger projects that kind of launched me into that world. We poured 5,000 used 5.56 casings into the center and then carved their logo out of it. Did 2 live edge slabs, and I welded 4 custom bases that looked like a turret on a minigun. And then delivered it like perfectly on brand. They took a leap of faith with me doing it. I'd never done anything of that scale, but you know, through relationships and people, I was able to get them to buy into it. And that was like kind of like a catapult for my portfolio to be able to do a lot more of those. And since then we do a decent amount of those kind of projects if we are going to do any custom work, because nowadays the content side of the business is the driver that I have the ability to say no to a lot of projects that I don't think are going to facilitate exactly what you said, where I want to be in the future. But yeah, and like if you came to me and you were like, we're building, you know, a massive dining hall that I want a 25-foot table with my face and logo in the center of it, and here's my budget, what can you do for me? Like that's kind of stuff is where I'm like, yes, it's huge, it's your dream,
right?
I'm going to love it.
It's amazing.
Let's bring it to life, right?
Yes,
that doesn't exist in the world.
Yeah.
I'm not really into doing, you know, cookie cutter stuff. And that's because I am blessed to have, you know, a content business where I don't have to do the cookie cutter stuff. There's so many people in the trades though that are so good at the cookie cutter stuff that they're like down to being so fast and efficient. Their process
they can do it blindfolded.
Exactly. And they're so much better at it than me that I'm always willing to refer them before I'll take on a job that is something that I just don't think fits into my core product offering or the vision that I have for the business.
So what's the one project you took on you wish you wouldn't have?
So ironically, we're doing one right now, and it's been just taking considerably way longer than we wanted to. And so when I took the project on, where I'm at now is like, I'm always trying to make sure that I have leverage in everything that I build. And most of my leverage comes from the content creation that goes along with the build. And so if I can make a video about that project and I think it's going to entertain my audience,
you bet,
as well as provide me an opportunity to work with a sponsor and then make me money from a customer, I call it a triple dip, and I'm usually more likely to do that. So it's a cool ass project. We just couldn't get it into the production pipeline. But we're doing 2 outdoor custom kind of like bars that rise out of like planter boxes. They look like they're like very high end looking planter boxes. And they have marble tops, and one side raises up. It has 2 refrigerating units inside of it, and the whole thing's waterproofed with HDPE and completely sealed, so it's weatherproof. And the other one has a cigar humidor and some other storage inside of it. And they're rad. I mean, they go up and down. And they're cool as hell. And we took them on because I thought we were going to be able to make content on them. And then once we got into the actual design and the production of the project itself, it just turned out that like timing wise, it wasn't really going to fit where we were. And so we're right now, like and one of my employees is back at the shop finishing the project itself. But it was one of those things. It's like, we're doing a ton of joinery work. We're working with materials that we're not really like capable of working with fast, which would be HDPE. And then we also we don't work with marble. I've done marble tops and stuff, but so, you know, you end up losing leverage in that regard because I'm never going to market it. It's cool. I'll throw some photos out there. Phenomenal client. And this client has bought multiple tables off of me. That's why I wanted to do the project with him. But that's one of the most recent things where I'm like, yeah, this is just kind of why we're not just a full bore, like full service woodworking shop, because it's inefficient. It should have been, 6 weeks. It's been
you can't do everything
close to
for
6
everybody.
months. And yeah, you can't do everything for everyone. Not if you want to make money.
Right.
Now you can, but you just won't make money.
Right. You're going to bounce around like a pinball.
Correct. And you're never going to become specialized. You're never going to become fast. It's not scalable, right? It's tough.
I like that. I was at a conference last year, and this girl gets up and speaks, and she says that she works with affiliate marketing companies. She helps hook them up with the influencer. I hate that word. Yeah. But she says, but we've got where we're trying to get away from that. She says, look, I mean, think about it, y'all. If somebody comes to me for $100,000, I'm going to say whatever they want me to say. Yeah. And I'm looking at her like, no. She says, really, who's going to turn down $100,000? I raise my hand. Yeah. And I look around, of course, nobody in the room's got their hand raised. Yeah. But she looked at me and she said, seriously, I said, look, I turned down $1 million contract because it's not it didn't fit me. It's not my brand. It's not a product I believe in. Correct. And I tried talking to her afterwards, and she would not even hang around and talk. She's like out the door.
That's hard to do.
It is. Yeah. I mean, especially to turn down just $1 million. Oh, yeah. But when it's like, but wait, this is not on brand for me. This is not what I want to do. Yeah. And it's like, I can't do that. Yeah. And she says, I find that really hard to believe. That's why I wanted to talk to her. Because I'm like, look, there are people in this world that are like, look, I'm not going to go against what I believe just to make $1.
Tons.
And that's why I asked, what's your favorite project? What's your worst project? Do you still have things that come along, the shiny objects, the squirrels?
Oh, totally. And a lot of those for me now are outside of the actual woodworking side of the business, right? Those for me are like online or digital products and opportunities that I would love to facilitate. They just require a completely different skill set. And the only way to do that and keep the business that I have sustainable and growing is to hire, right? And then you're learning a whole new skill set, as we all do, growing a business, and hiring, and then actually hiring up and hiring quality in order to make sure that they are aligned with your vision and mission for whatever that new thing might be. So, I've got a few online courses. I got the Go High Level stuff around here. I've got a few products on there. Are you going to be in Dallas next week for Go High Level or the week after? Or? No, I wish. I've had a crazy August traveling around and whatnot, but we're not good enough yet to where I believe that I should be there, right? I'm like, we need to do a lot more work on our courses and our product offering as far as courses go. But like for me now, those are the shiny objects, right? I got people that want to do books. We got our own physical goods and products, which is now like an aspect of an e-commerce brand where I'm learning, all those things that go into marketing product online, like physical goods online. We've got digital products. We sell digital plans. We got an email newsletter, all kinds of stuff. And there's tons of shiny objects out there. They're just, these days, they're not like building a thing like they used to be back in the day. But that's good because, I mean, we still get to work with our mind. Correct. Because now it's a completely different skill set. Correct. We're looking at things completely different. Correct. I'm doing a lot of things you are. Literally, I sat down here the past 2 days. I was here Sunday and Monday doing a map of here's everything that I have to offer. Here's the courses. Here's the training. Here's this. Here's this. Here's the product. Whatever it is. Everything from the app all the way down. Yeah. So it's like, man, there's a lot of stuff here. Oh, yeah. And then I got to figure out, okay, how do you tie it all together? Correct. How do you have one thing that you talk about that really talks about or encompasses or sells everything you do? Yeah. And looking at stuff like that, you talked about your business coaching that you do. What all coaching, consulting, training, what all do you do right now? So right now I'm not doing any. And it's because I was gonna touch on this. I was like, one of the coaches the programs that I'm in, that I pay to be in, talks about being in your production quadrant, right? And your production quadrant is essentially what fires you up and what you're best at and what makes your business the most money. Mm-hmm. As a business owner, your goal is to do only that. You bet. Right? And a lot of people are like, oh, as a business owner, you got to be, the janitor and you got to be the CEO. It's like, cool. Not if it takes you off this other stuff. Exactly. But I mean, it's like not that cool. Yeah. Right. And you want to get away from those things because the amount of money it costs for you and the beauty and the benefit of the opportunity of paying someone else to do that service and giving them the ability to afford a life is just as important as you getting out of it and doing the things that are going to drive the business forward. So, you're talking about mapping out your business. We recently launched an app as well. We've kind of fizzled down. Well, not fizzled down. I stopped the group coaching that I was doing for woodworkers because we launched our app in May. And, I'm going to be hopefully next year incorporating more coaching in both content creation and more or less like the creator economy, as well as with kind of woodworking specific content, because I've already got that all kind of shot and backlogged, but we haven't got it over to the app quite yet. I do a lot of like one-on-one sort of consulting with a lot of creators in my space, like in the woodworking space. We hop on calls, I help them with like title and thumbnail ideation, retention, like improved retention, taking a lot of the things I've learned over the years and helping them apply it to their stuff. But as far as coaching goes, that would probably be it. We've got a little bit in the works, the Builder Bunker app, good, right now, but yeah, probably a lot more to be seen in 2025. We did a lot of new stuff in 24.
This is 2024. Where's John Malecki in 2027?
So hopefully in 2027, I'd love to be.
One of our coaches talks about a 3-year plan. That's why I picked 3 years.
And I'm not, ironically, I'm not as like clear on what my 3-year vision looks like. But something I've been doing in my reflection and my own development is kind of trying to realize where my actual most valuable skill sets are now, and then how I can best provide and help others chase those dreams themselves. And so in 2027, it's not so much a rebrand for me, but you'll be seeing a lot more content geared around the ecosystem of like owning a business as a content creator that gets dirty a little bit more, because a lot of people don't get dirty that make content and don't know how to run that kind of a business. But helping those there that want to grow and improve. I think I provide a lot of knowledge and insight in those regards, and it's become something that I spend a lot of time and money in learning and growing. And so as we know, it's like kind of like our mission to provide and help others with those, as you do with your plumbing expertise and your business expertise around the trades, and generally shining a incredibly positive light on the trades.
Trying to.
So trying to be more of a voice in that regard, in the creator economy, as well as like we call it the makerspace, as well as the makerspace. There's a lot of people in their garages that are, just kind of getting by, making decent money, but would love to be, more or less living their dreams, not just with, I think with a few tweaks, the right kind of a community could be taking things to a whole other level a lot faster than they believe. And so in 2027, I'd hope to be more of a voice for that, providing, more high quality content in a different avenue. The channel will still be building. We'll still be playing with tools. We'll still be having a blast, making our existing content on those platforms. But we'll have some other offerings out there, I believe.
And the thing is, there's a lot of guys at home in a garage making some freaking amazing product.
Totally.
That is just like, wait, you did that at home?
Yeah.
It's you don't have a professional shop or something? Why not?
Incredible.
So that's neat. And look, I love that you're like, look, I don't know exactly what my 3-year plan looks like. I mean, mine, I've got a 4-year plan. I know where I want to be on my birthday, October 2024.
Yeah.
Or October 2028, which is the day I turned 65. So I'm
Nice.
like, look, I know what I want by then. Let's look at extrapolating that out and make that happen.
Yeah. Reverse engineer it.
You bet.
Yeah.
And we call it a pull plan.
Yeah.
Figure out where you want to be and then come back. Where do I need to be a month from before then, or 2 months or 6 months or whatever, and start looking at what does all this look like. Tell me about the best day you've ever had.
As a woodworker, there's almost nothing more validating than creating whatever something is. And I'm a people person. Like I'm an extroverted individual. Like I love people.
You bet. We absorb energy off.
Yeah. And when I get a customer that's fired up about a project, and then they come to me and they're like, can you bring my dream to life? Like that's what it is for me. That's what ticks that box in the building and physically creating things world. So, we recently did a conference table for a company in Colorado that does veteran job placement, and they hire and employ a lot of veterans throughout the country. And man, when we showed up there, like we drove the table the whole way to Colorado, right? They had like a bunch of their team members there. The CEO couldn't be there, but he's a huge fan of the channel, so the rest of his team kind of handled it. And we got it installed. Everyone's, loving it. I mean, touching every aspect of it, asking all the questions. And like, you could just tell that they were just so excited to have this table in their building. And you wouldn't think a table would evoke that much emotion. But the CEO, they FaceTimed me later, like called me after, and like, you could feel the emotion in his voice and the gratitude, and just like what he envisioned us going above that expectation, as well as like giving him something that I think truly validated whatever his dream was for it. Was amazing. And like, I look back on those moments, and when I'm, thinking about why I do what I do, and it's about the people on the other side. Right. And though that, those are the best days that I've had, and I have 3 little girls. Like I have a 7-week-old daughter as we sit here, a 1.5 and a 3.5-year-old. Haven't got to building many things for them because they're super, super young.
Right.
But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of me applying those skills to their lives in the future, that I'm going to get that gratitude of them, excitement and playing with it and whatnot, for years to come. So it's always for me, that emotion I get from somebody else, when they receive something that I've built, or brought their dream to life, more or less.
No, I love that. And my grandfather used to build stuff, so I used to always get to go out and play with it and see it and touch it and hold it and stuff like that, and thought that was really, really neat. Tell me about the worst day you've ever had in woodworking.
So I tell this story to my business students because I think it's a prime example of kind of what we were talking about earlier in the show. I had a customer. She was from the area that I grew up in, very wealthy. Come to the shop when I was in my like 3rd or 4th year of what I was doing. Like I said, I was focused on building with reclaimed wood and reclaimed materials, which a lot of woodworkers don't do. It beats the crap out of your machines. It's hard to find. It's never dry. It's never straight. It's just
everything in the world's wrong with it.
Yeah. But I was doing it because I was, bullish, and I thought it looked cool, and I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the reclaimed wood guy. And so I had a cabinet shop that used to refer me work, send me this wealthy chick, and she had a cabin that she wanted all reclaimed wood cabinets built, and she wanted a full kitchen done. So we designed the kitchen, built the whole kitchen out, yada, yada. But during the process, she just turned into the absolute worst customer I think I've ever had across the board. And I mean, we've sold a lot of stuff, and she would just show up whenever she wanted. She was always nitpicking things that you have no idea could even be nitpicked. She was asking me to kind of like build things crappier because she thought they looked better, right? She wanted it to like look a certain way, but be built or finished improperly, especially for a kitchen, which was like against all my moral compasses and codes and stuff, right? And so I was like, it was really difficult. It was an hour and 20 minutes away to do any of like the on-site work and whatnot. So it was like, there was time constraints around it. But she walked in with, $40,000 in cash and asked me to build her a kitchen, and I'm shiny object. I got a bunch of cash in hand.
Absolutely.
I was like, whoosh, that's a lot of money.
Here we go.
And, we built that. We built some vanities and did a little bit of other work. I did some sourcing for her, and I did a bunch of extra free stuff for her on top of it. Cause
wasn't worth 40 grand, was it?
Yeah. I didn't really, realize that. And then, halfway through the job, probably 3.5 months into this project, realizing that like, I haven't done anything to facilitate my social channels, right? Photography, videography, YouTube, nothing, because I've been working on this damn kitchen. And she's sucking up a ton of extra time from me. So like, it was just at the end of the day, there's no way I made money on the job. I didn't know what I was doing in regards to properly making sure I was budgeting the project. 1, 2, didn't use it to market in a single way. I had zero leverage with the project at the end. And then she was just so terrible to deal with. I got no referrals. There was no, testimonials on my website or no video or photo or anything of the finished project at all. And it was just one of those projects that I was building a lot of like furniture, and then I was like, kitchens. There's a lot of money in kitchens.
You bet.
Did a kitchen. Didn't do any more kitchens after that. And that was probably like the worst, more or less woodworking customer project that I ever dealt with. Now, recently I tried to bend a slab in half and we dropped it, and everyone would think that like that would be it because it broke in half and was like turned into a thing. And I was pointed out as being the worst employer on YouTube for a good month and a half. But all that being said, I really didn't care that we broke it. Like, I make videos, and, thankfully no one was hurt and whatever in that regard. And so like when things break nowadays, as long as I'm not making them for someone else, it really doesn't bother me, because it usually just improves the content, and then I get to learn about fixing it or building it again and, getting better at it and whatnot. So try to keep the emotions aside, but that was a rough one, right? You take on a huge project and they suck, and you're just like, ugh, I want to do this again. And now I'm like, I feel like I haven't done any work in anything else in my business.
I know,
for
it's
6
crazy,
months.
isn't it? Okay. So take a minute again, tell everybody who you are and what you do, where all they can find you on your social platforms, on your sales platforms. Yeah. Everywhere you're at.
So, once again, my name's John Malecki. I have, a couple YouTube channels. You can look up my name for both of those: John Malecki Builds, John Malecki Unscrewed. We are on,
loving the name.
We're on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever else. Usually just plug my name in, you're going to find it. We do what else did you ask there? Oh, no, then we recently launched an app. It's called the Builder Bunker, where you can get exclusive, like, behind the scenes content. We do a couple live streams a month on there. We do a Q&A, then we do a little happy hour, where we just kind of shoot the shit and have a good time and hang out. It's a community for those individuals that enjoy building stuff and playing with tools and want to have a good time. So that's our newest, funnest thing. And like I said, you can throw my name in any social platform and you'll find all that.
If you could go back to the day that little Johnny graduated high school and walks out the next Monday morning, I guess to a summer job or something like that, maybe getting ready to go to college, go for spring ball, anything like that, what would you tell yourself, knowing everything you know right now? If you could walk there and catch Johnny walking out the door that first day.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately, ironically, and that's to use one of Gary Vee's favorite words. It's very serendipitous of you to ask that question. If I could go back, I would explain to myself at any moment in one of those examples, before I started playing college football or before I went to the NFL, I would explain to myself how fleeting the opportunity actually is and how unimportant all of the things that I think are important are in that moment. And to actually put all the intent and focus I possibly can into those times, it'll dramatically change the future. If you as a human being can just intently focus for a year, you can change the dynamic of everything to come in the future. And at 18, it's really hard to do. Yeah. You want to go party and chase girls and do all the stuff that you're doing in college. And then you hit your first year in the NFL and everyone else is out doing that. You finally got some money in your pocket. You're like, whatever. Yep. If I would have gone back and been like, look, dude, you're an underdog. You got a long shot here. And I was doing a lot. I was like, but there was more. And that's it's not a regret, because I don't regret anything. But if I look back on like my pro career, I'm like, man, I could have done a little bit more. I think I could have, even though I was doing a lot. Like you just know there's always more.
We can always do a little bit more.
Guys like us are like, there's always more.
Absolutely.
Right? Could have been more intentful with my diet, right? I could have hired a different trainer. I could have, if I would focus on anything.
Spend another 30 minutes in the gym. I should have done this. I should have done it. Yep.
One minor thing. I was like, if I would have just focused, I was very inflexible still. I was like, I should have just focused on becoming like more flexibility, like physically flexible. Mm-hmm. That would have dramatically, I think, helped improve my game. But reality is, I was distracted at the time, right? I wanted to go, do all the other stupid stuff that you do when you're 23 years old and they're paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars to play football. So if I look back on it, I'm like, understand that those moments are fleeting. They're not going to be there forever. You feel like it is in the moment. And even whether it's pain or pleasure, right? Whether you're sitting in the now and you're listening to this podcast and you're feeling terrible, it's fleeting. You're feeling great, it's fleeting. Stay steady the course, keep chopping wood, right? And be more intentful with your time. That's what I tell younger John.
I like that.
I'm glad you like it. I'm sure you've been doing that a long time.
You know, I'm a lot like you in a lot of ways. People buy from people that people say people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's know, love, trust, and they're connected to.
Yeah.
And what you do with your YouTube channel, social media in general, you connect with people.
Thank you. Yeah.
You do it very well.
We really try to do that. And we try to be, fun, and we try to be less rigid, less, strict, and show that, real human beings are doing a lot of the mistakes. A lot of the things we're doing
absolutely
on the internet, and trying to be seen, we are seen as experts, and, experts make mistakes, and experts cuss, and experts go through all kinds of turmoil and trial, whatever, too. So yeah, I'm just trying to be a real person, because we are all real people at the end of the day.
Yes, indeed. John, it's been fun. Thank you.
Awesome. Roger, thank you so much, man. This is great.
Thank you, brother.